Innistrad Remastered is about to change the landscape of Magic the Gathering's secondary market. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the price of that power and what cost it comes to players. The hype train is starting to build for Innistrad Remastered. The success of this product is very important to Wizards of the Coast as it will carry forward into future products. But is there enough of a volume to make players happy, to meet in the middle with the stores, and to make sure that Wizards of the Coast keeps producing these style of nostalgic sets that attract players? Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thank you again for hanging out with me on my channel today. Now, when we're looking at Innistrad Remastered, which is less than a month away, and of course we've started to see spoilers come out, it's a pretty exciting time. We have to look at upcoming sets to understand where we're going and where a set like Innistrad Remastered fits into the future of Wizards of the Coast. Aether Drift is right around the corner coming out, and of course it's going back down to 30 packs. That 30 packs is very important for us going forward, and it's part of today's discussion. I even took notes and everything. Now, a play booster box of something like Aether Drift here in Canada is $179.95. That's the current price on a pre-order locally. If you're in the US, just take away 30%. That's roughly what you would pay if you were talking here in Canadian dollars versus US dollars, okay? Now, the funny thing is here, if we look at the Lost Caverns of Ixalan set booster boxes, when they were released, they came out at $154.95. Kind of interesting, right? And then, of course, if you look at a draft box of a set like Ixalan, that was $144. So no matter how we look at it, the price went up and we're getting less packs because we can just compare the Lost Caverns of Ixalan directly against a booster box like Aether Drift, and you can see it comes in at that 30 pack mark. This is something Wizards of the Coast is probably going to be aiming for future remastered products. So something like Innistrad Remastered, which is still 36 packs, is going to be very important for players who are looking for a little extra volume. And that volume, well, it comes to us in the form of 6 additional booster packs, which we won't be seeing in products like Aether Drift. And remember, if Aether Drift and other sets after it are successful, the target for a remastered product will be the same price point, but with 6 less booster packs. So what are we looking for? Well, we're looking at a box that is going to cost us here in Canada $269.95 Canadian. Remember, take away 30%, and that's what we'd be paying for the US price. They also have the collector box at $399.95. Now, why would players be interested in buying a product like this? Well, I'm never going to argue that a remastered product from Wizards of the Coast, they have all been very well put together. They are excellent products. And the way that they're pricing sets like Aether Drift, Murders at Karlov Manor, going at Duskmourn, all these successive sets now are giving us a higher price point, which makes the price of a remastered product a lot easier it's a lot easier on the palate. It's easier to comprehend in your brain because $269 versus $229 is not a big deal for a lot of us players because some of the cards that they are bringing back are very important to players. They are very important to have these things coming back into the game because some have never been reprinted and others have just been really expensive, and even the threat of a reprint has brought these cards down. Now, if we take a look at cards like the Meat Hook Massacre, back in 2022, this card was over $100. It still gets played all the time. You see it in Commander, you see it in Modern, you're going to see it. And now you're going to see that price dipping down. That makes it more affordable, but it's still a sought after card for players who don't want to go out and just try to randomly buy a booster box, but getting it during one of these experiences at a pre-release or playing with some friends, it's kind of a nice bonus card to be there. Now, we also have cards like Emrakul, The Promised End. Ever since the announcement, though, that this card was being reprinted, it went from like the high of $95 and it's hovering around 45 bucks right now. But we still have no idea what the track printing on this card will be. It might be really hard to get. And in that case, a card price is going to rebound very quickly. It may be advantageous to players right now to skip waiting for this card to come out and buy it while it's a little bit cheaper right now. It's one of those cards that's pretty good. It's not as good as the original Aeon of Torns, but at the same time, that card's not back in play, at least not yet. It hasn't been unbanned in Commander. So we'll have to see where cards like this go. But for now, it's a pretty reasonable price, but it's still a great card to see within this kind of makeup of a remastered product. Now, of course, we also have Liliana the Veil. This card hasn't been really big since like 2018 when it was like 130 bucks. Right now it's like a 20 something dollar card. It's still kind of nice that it's very reasonable to buy. It hasn't made a major impact card in a long time, but it's still fun to have around. So it's great. It's a great utilitarian card, utilitarian card for a lot of players who enjoy planeswalkers and a lot of that stuff. You also have Avacyn Angel, right? Now that card, it never reached higher than like 60 bucks. So it's never been a huge card, but it's been consistently at that $30, $40 level for a long time because they never allow it to like be basically power crept up on. Like it's never gone over the edge. And at the same time, the card doesn't get reprinted so much that it loses value. They've kept that one kind of tight. It's interesting to see how that's played out. It's kind of a nice card to have around, a little bit of a treasure to see. And of course, here's the big one. Edgar Markov. Having him come back for his first printing, just like Emrakul, I think it's the first printing for the Promised End. Having these cards come into the game as remastered products are going to be really spicy for players who love the Innistrad block, like the nostalgic feel. And now they know that there's actually going to be cards within this set that have value. These cards aren't going to be in every box, of course. You're not going to hit every single one. But that lottery chance with the nostalgic factor seems to be attracting players to the idea and warming them up for this product. I don't know how big of a successful hit it's going to be, but at the same time, it's definitely not going to be a flop from what I've seen so far. There's just too many players who are interested. They like the idea of being able to build these cards, add to commander decks, add to formats like Pioneer, Modern. A lot of these cards are going to be playable, usable cards that expand on your Magic collection, but they are condensed into a single set to allow players to experience it, especially players who've been around the block for a while like myself. Adding a lot of these cards in and doing a good job constructing them into a nice playable format as a single standalone product is a big deal. It is a very big deal for a lot of players. It's good for stores, it's good for business. But when we look at the overall draw, are we expecting to get all of these cards in every box? No, you're not. Absolutely not. And yes, most of them are probably going to be found inside of the collector boxes. But here's the good news. When they add all these different art frames, they're upping their chances of getting some of these cards. Again, mostly found in collector boxes, but the experience will still be good inside those play booster box versions. They are going to be a lot of fun. And that excitement, well, it's going to translate into sales. And that's because a lot of players are not excited for Aether Drift, which means they are more likely to drift their way over to a product like Innistrad Remastered that is going to have reprint equity that players can use in multiple formats. It has a good price point that will attract players when compared to this 30-pack Aether Drift that we're moving forward on. And we have products that are going to be probably not reprinted right away. It doesn't mean that they're not going to show up somewhere else as a special guest. You might see Edgar Markov show up as a special guest in some product in the next 14 months. You may see Emrakul, the Promised End, show up in somewhere in Modern Horizons 4 for all we know. But that isn't now. For the moment when you're looking at the landscape and the economy of Magic the Gathering, some of these card prices are being drawn down because of those reprints. But until we see a lot of boxes being opened, until we see how easily or difficult these products are to find, how much these individual singles are really going to cost isn't going to be known until we see boxes cracked and we see how much inventory ends up at stores. And that's not likely going to be known for a few weeks yet. So you got to keep your eyes peeled and maybe hit some of these targets early or just enjoy the experience and maybe you'll get lucky. I would love to know how you guys are going to deal with products like this. Is Aether Drift going to make you move over to Innistrad for the moment to enjoy a couple of games? Or are you going to skip both and move on to something like Final Fantasy? Or are you waiting for Marvel? Because the future of remastered products is dependent on players buying the products and enjoying them. It's not about the stores hoarding them on a store shelf. It's not about the reprint equity 5 years from now because we know they'll probably get reprinted. But the experience of these products and the makeup is dependent on players buying them and experience them long term as the years go by. Is this something you guys are still behind, or do you feel you need to leave it in the backdrop and move on to other products? Either way, I can't wait to see your comments in the comment section. Join in here because I can't wait to go to some pre-releases with my friends. It's just like informal stuff. We're going to open, packs each and have a good time. But that price point is not that much of a deterrent for me and my friends to go kick back and play. So I want to know what you guys think about it. I'm kind of excited. I'll still have a good time. It's a great plane of existence for us to enjoy. I wish it was a little bit creepier, kind of like the Duskmorn feel without the Ghostbusters, but we'll have to wait and see how it plays out in the years to come. But for now, I think remastered products are a pretty safe bet if they can keep this price point with these kinds of interest points for players and the secondary market reprint equity with some cool card frame artwork in the backdrop, maybe a few extra new foilings. You guys let me know. Thanks again for hanging out with the Moxman, and I will see you guys all tomorrow with another video. Hi everyone, a big shout out and thank you to my fantastic patrons. Because of the patrons here on the channel, I get to do this kind of daily content every single day and experience all of these amazing products. So thanks again for supporting the channel. Thanks for being here, patrons. And of course, my YouTube membership members. Without you guys being here, well, things would be a lot different. Thanks again. We'll see you all tomorrow with another video. All right, you're here at the end. Now, I have this book here. I took like Moxman notes and stuff like that. For me, it is interesting. Welcome to the Ramble Jamble. A play booster box of Aether Drift in Canada, 30 packs, $179. Okay, but we have the Ixalan Lost Caverns was $154.95. So this is still $20 more, and that was a set booster box of 30 packs. So 30 packs, but still $20 more per box within a year and a bit of each other. That's still a pretty big increase, year over year for the same type of product. And then the draft box is being $144. Okay, that's a pretty big thing. You're talking $10 difference between a draft and a set. And now we have the play booster boxes with Aether Drift being $30 more than draft boxes were. I don't know, man. The numbers don't work out. I mean, the hype is not bad on the product, though. I have friends who are interested. I have stores telling me some sales are coming in now. It doesn't look like it's going to flop. It just doesn't look like it's be a major success yet. We have to wait and see. But I look at all the cards inside so far. I'm looking at the prices, the values, the reprint history of the cards, the price of future products. These things are getting played in Modern, Pioneer, Commander. There's enough formats there, and there's enough desire that some of these cards are going to be well sought after, even if the price dips a bit. The market will absorb a lot of this because it's not going to be a mass marketed open product. So I think it's going to do okay. I'm surprised. It was all bad news early on, but it seems the closer we get to stuff like this, the wheels and winds change and we spin around. Do a little do-si-do. I almost got a little bit dizzy. Is that old man vertigo? I took like an off step. Did you see that? Moxman not getting old. I'm immortal. Nobody knows it yet. Guys, thanks a lot. Have a great one. The Immortal Moxman.